That's right, it's June, and we're doing something a bit different. This is That Aussie Couple. I'm Grimnag,
Free Ren.
and we're going to go ahead and bring you our normal bits of stories here and there, but we're going to try a little different. Starting off with doing the stream direct and during recording at the same time. We'll see how it goes. All right, so for our first story for today, we're going to the unthinkable find inside an 18th century Spanish shipwreck. This comes from our friends at news.com.au. Historians have made a stunning discovery inside an 18th century shipwreck. 18th century shipwreck. Learn to speak. All right. This is a 30,300-year-old discovery in the Mediterranean.
30,000.
What? I didn't say 30,000. I said 3,300.
You said
Did I say 33,000? No, I don't think so.
no. You said 30,000.
No, 3,300. Anyways, it was the one that got away. It became the holy grail of shipwrecks. Now, decades after.
Boys.
What? All I felt was wind. What? That's her waving me down.
Yes, not the other kind of wind. He just felt like he was coming across really loud, and last thing I need is to deafen people.
Okay, fine. It was the one that got away. It became the holy grail of shipwrecks. Now, decades after treasure hunters claimed to have found its remains, the identity of the $26 billion Spanish galleon San Jose has been confirmed. The treasure fleet flagship exploded amid a fierce Caribbean battle with the British Navy in 1708. Now, verification that the wreck's been found is likely to inflame a fierce four-way legal battle between the governments of Colombia, Spain, treasure hunters, and the indigenous Central American peoples. Who owns the estimated 180 tons of gold, silver, and uncut gemstones it was carrying? My first thoughts? The treasure hunters.
Country of origin.
My thoughts are, well, that's why the indigenous people are getting involved, because technically they're the country of origin from their point of view. It was taken from their lands. Valuations vary between the raw material and the collector's value of the cargo, but estimates say the galleon was carrying some 7 to 10 million Spanish gold pesos, worth as much as 26 billion Australian dollars. It's the same treasure that's been blown the 300-year-old wreck's cover. Colombia's Navy sent a robotic diving vehicle 600 meters to the seafloor to scan the galleon's scattered remains between 2021 and 2024. They found piles of gold coins strewn among bronze cannons, timber beams, and blue and white porcelain. Now, a study released Tuesday, June 10th, reveals the results of a high-resolution survey of just one of these treasure patches. Geez, there's that much of it. This is a ship off of Cartagena. Say it, it's in Spanish. My Spanish is horrible.
Cartagena?
No, Jena.
Cartagena?
Thank you.
Cartagena?
See, I knew you'd get it because you speak Spanish.
Okay.
Yes. It captures dozens of rough-cut gold coins in exquisite detail. I love sailing boats. Anyways. Hand-struck, irregular-shaped coins known as cobs in English, and I'm not going to butcher this Spanish.
Macoquinas.
Macu.
Macoquinas.
Macuquinas.
Yes.
Okay. In Spanish, serves as
I've never heard that word, actually, so
yeah, but
I'm
you
really
can
guessing.
read Spanish. As primary currency in the Americas for more than 2 centuries. Lead researcher Daniela Vargas Ariza says in a statement. Which is worse, my pronunciation? Japanese names or Spanish
Daniela Vargas Ariza.
There you go. The average of about 3 centimeters in diameter. That equates to roughly 27 grams of solid gold each. And their stamp designs remain crisp and clear, meaning they're good as freaking historical artifacts as well. The front displays a distinctive Jerusalem cross with heraldic lions and castles. On their backs, they carry an imprint of the crowned pillars of Hercules, representing the Straits of Gibraltar, above the waves of the sea. The study's authors also found that some carry distinctive Sayers mark, a royal quality control stamp, assessing the gold as pure. Historical references link these designs and marks to a Spanish mint operating in the colonial town of Lima, now the capital of Peru. Wow, look at that. I love old coins. They're just cool. Especially, shipwreck stuff. A wealth of troubles. Commander Jose Fernandez de
Santillan
was the man who lost the Kingdom of Spain a royal fortune. But the battle over the treasure has never ended. Two British Royal Navy captains were stripped of their jobs for failing to secure the treasure galleons. Yes, because the British would have loved to have had that gold. They should have taken the boats, not blew it to bits. Of course, war. The U.S. salvage company Glaucomora Sea Search Armada claims to have found the galleon's remains in the 1980s. Colombia went on to find the wreck for itself in 2015. It has staked a claim as the treasure rests within its national waters. Spain insists it's still their royal warship, despite being sunk, and an internationally protected war grave. And indigenous groups from Bolivia and Peru have also stepped in, insisting the gold, silver, and gems had all been stolen from them in the first place.
Can they prove it?
This cargo belongs to our people, the silver, the gold, and we think it should be raised from the seabed to stop treasure hunters looting it. I'm not going to butcher that name. Quara? Qhara.
Yes, I know people can read that, but
Whatever, they're people. Representative Samuel Flores told media. How many years have gone by? 300 years? They owe us that debt. Oh, look at the layout. You can see the different sections where this was a boat. And just only the middle bits remain.
it was a ship, yes.
Yes, it was. Boat. I know. All the Navy guys are yelling at me now. The whole issue is now grinding through the legal process of the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague. It's a messy case. The 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea does not address shipwrecks. It seems odd to not address shipwrecks. A follow-up resolution in 2001, the UNESCO Underwater Cultural Heritage 2001 Convention, has not been signed by Colombia or the U.S. All of this would have been moot if the wreck had not been that of the San Jose. A dolphin emblem seen on the Bronze Canyon strongly indicates it is, but identifying the coins as those being carried by the galleon at the time it was sunk has put to rest any doubt. The finding of cobs created in 1707 at the Lima Mint points to a vessel navigating the Tierra Firme route in the early 18th century, and San Jose galleon is the only ship that matches these characteristics, the study concludes. I like the nice little watercolor drawing of we blew it up. Cartagena. I just like that word because I can't say it right. Cartagena. Fortunes of War. Commander Santillan.
Santillan.
I have no idea how you get this Jean with the double L.
When it's double L
in
Spanish, it's Jean.
The Mexicans are yelling
like
at
Jave,
again,
which is key.
Again, the Mexicans are yelling at me. The Jave.
Well, Mexicans don't speak proper Spanish as it is, so...
I let that one. I'm not
What?
going to. That's not
Proper
my argument
Spanish
to be
comes
in.
from Spain. Everything else, just like Australian English, is all slang.
Agreed. Commander. Say his name again.
Where am I?
Commander
Santillan.
Santillan was to sail his force of 3 heavily armed galleons as escort for a convoy of 14 merchant ships from Portobello to Panama to Havana, Cuba.
Portobello in Panama to Havana, Cuba.
Yes.
Jesus, dude. Not enough caffeine for you today.
No, definitely not. Where a larger fleet was assembling to cross the Atlantic to Spain. These merchant ships were carrying mixed trade goods, but some 250 tons of royal gold and treasure was loaded aboard
Santillan's flagship.
The heavily protected 64-gun galleon San Jose. 64-gunner, jeez. That would be a third rate, I think. What did not fit was moved to the similarly San Joaquin.
Joaquin.
I said Joaquin.
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 No.
Joaquin.
Joaquin.
Joaquin, like Joaquin Felix. Joaquin. Ow!
And the galleon Santa Cruz.
I can say Santa Cruz. Appears to have been tasked with protecting a Spanish entrepreneur's personal fortune.
But it sounds better when it's pronounced by somebody that actually speaks Spanish.
I'll give you that. It was the job that the galleons were built for. But Commander
Santillan
ignored warnings a larger British force had been spotted in the Caribbean. He was worried that approaching hurricane season would force him to miss his Havana rendezvous. The Spanish treasure fleet spotted the sails of Commodore Sir Charles Wagner's squadron as it passed
Cartagena
in modern-day Colombia.
Cartagena.
By 5 p.m. on June 8, 1708,
Santillan
had positioned his heavily armed galleons to cover the retreat of his helpless cargo ships.
And you're lucky that I'm actually following what you're reading.
Again, look, I love the details on the gold coins. The 60-gun HMS Kingston engaged the San
Joaquin
64 gunners. After 2 hours of battle, the galleon evaded a boarding attempt and escaped into the growing darkness. The HMS Expedition, a 70-gun, singled out San Jose, 64's guns. It closed a point-blank range for its Marines and sailors to swarm aboard. After an hour and a half of battle, a British cannonball penetrated San Jose's thick timber walls to reach its gunpowder magazine. The galleon exploded and immediately sank. Despite the onset of darkness, the British squadron found the 44-gun Santa Cruz by moonlight. This time, the boarding attempt was successful, costing the British 14 and the Spanish 90 lives. Then, shortly after dawn,
San Joaquin
was spotted again. HMS Portland, 50-gunner, and Kingston were ordered to give chase, but after exchanging several salvos of cannon fire, the Spanish galleon reached the protection of the
Cartagena
harbor, as did the merchant ships. The two British captains decided not to risk their port's defenses. San Jose was a Spanish galleon sunk in 1708. Yes, there is. In Colombia. Commodore Wagner became a rich man and an admiral from his victory.
Does it say Wagner there?
Wager. Wagner.
Wagner. Yeah, not Wagner.
Is it? It's British, so
no.
There's no N. I know that, but I'm like, how would you say it?
Wagner.
Wagner doesn't sound like a name. It sounds like you're mispronouncing somebody's name, like Wagner or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not British. Wagner still sounds better, but anyways. Britain offered a generous prize law to its naval crews, allocating them a portion of the value of any cargo or ships they captured. But he and the Crown were all well aware untold wealth had slipped through their grasp. Captain Bridges of HMS Kingston and Windsor of HMS Portland were, therefore, court-martialed and dismissed from service for failing to carry out their duty. Almost 1,000 Spanish sailors lost their lives in the battle. Only 11 of the San Jose 600 crew and passengers survived the explosion.
Commander Saint-Jean went down with his ship, as all good captains should.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like everybody has an argument for it, but at the end of the day, it's the people who grab it are the ones who are going to, I think, claim it. Which
finders keepers.
Basically, I think the Colombians are going to go in there and just yoink it. You know,
yoink.
Because they're like, it's our waters. We can put our navy around it and just yoink it, and then you'll just have Colombia and Spain fighting again. No big shocker there.
At least they both speak the same language.
The treasure hunter guys, if they were, if it was me and they found it back in earlier, you would have taken what you could, snuck it off, and hid what you could for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, claiming the rest of it, but I think the Aborigines are basically going to go. They're going to make all the noise, and somebody will pay them off to shut them up, and that's about it. But right now, it's still sitting on the bottom of the ocean, so I'm wondering why it's still sitting down on the bottom of the ocean. Who's not grabbed it yet? So interesting. I always think, modern rules on treasure hunting versus the old days, the 1800s, where everybody just grabbed whatever they could because they had the right of force. Okay, moving on to our next one. We'll go over here, and we'll go this one. This is an Australian question. Boom to bust. Home prices plunge in key Sydney suburbs. Now, all of our friends in America, you're going to hear some of these numbers and you're going to go, what the frack? These are gone down? Prices are growing in most areas, but there have been some markets where they're going the other way. There, the suburbs, Sydney's fledgling housing boom forgot. Property prices in some of the city's most coveted suburbs have plummeted over the past year, despite falling interest rates, igniting another surge in real estate values across the rest of the market. Unfortunately. Median prices falls of up to $750,000 in coastal and well-connected inner suburbs have largely been the result of buyers turning to more affordable markets amid the cost of living pressures. It's like, oh no, just $750,000 down. The reduction in demand at a time of rising listings has put pressure on sellers in upmarket areas, while buyers in these markets had more room to go negotiate. PropTrack data indicated the largest falls over the past year were in the eastern suburbs, Vaucluse, Waverley, Woolloomooloo.
Vaucluse.
Okay, all my American friends.
Woolloomooloo.
How you like that Aussie word? Woolloomooloo. Woolloomooloo. It sounds exactly as it's spelled, but it's Woolloomooloo and Darlinghurst, and in the northern beaches suburbs, Manly and Fairlight. Those are all expensive, fancy sections of town.
Yes, they're all the eastern suburbs.
Where, one bedroom house for $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Prices in these markets all fell by an average of more than 14% over the past year, which gives the inflated prices delivering buyers significant savings. Manly house prices were an average of a close to $750,000 lower than a year ago, while in neighboring Farlight, the distance was about $600,000. Again, they went down that much, and that was only 14%. Do some quick math in your head. How high are these house prices? You know? Jeez. Other suburbs where major falls reported between 10 and 14% were Camaret, Cremorne, Cremorne, yes, Cremorne, Gordon, Kirribilli, Neutral Bay, and Linfield on the North Shore. Again, these are all super expensive places.
Oh, that's where all the rich people live.
There were also large price falls for units in southern suburbs, Blakehurst, Woolooware, and Kingsgrove, and for houses in Glebe, Strathfield South, and Inner West. REA Group economist Eleanor Krieg said a complex set of forces pushed down median prices in many upmarket areas. But one of the biggest factors was looming uncertainty about the global economy. How about the fact that they were just overpriced?
They are.
Jesus. Buyers in some premium markets may have been more cautious, he said. These buyers are typically less sensitive to mortgage rates and more responsive to broader macroeconomic forces. Well, yeah, because they're probably making their money off of like international deals and stuff. With recent uncertainty around the economic outlook and volatility in equity markets, some high-end buyers may be exercising caution and delaying upgrade decisions. Ms. Krieg said this contrasted with recent rise in spending across the cheaper end of the market. Cheaper being a very relative term here in Australia. More affordable markets have seen renewed activity since the Reserve Bank's February-May rate cuts, which improved borrowing capacity, lifting prices. Ms. Krieg noted that annual price figures may be somewhat skewered by the weaknesses in the market late last year, just prior to the rate cuts, and shifts in the types of homes getting sold. Capital cities recover, home prices high hits. Jeez. I think we'll just skip some of the more wordy bits and just skip down to here. Biggest annual price falls. Oatland's houses, $1.926 million median sale price. Where the hell's Oatland?
Don't know. Never heard of it.
Waverly,
Eastern suburbs.
1.45 million. That's after a 20% price drop. Jesus. Manly houses, which we know are expensive, 3.9. Oh my god, 3.98 million average price. Sorry, median price, not average. Difference. As Bob is yelling at me on the other side. Woolloomooloos are 1.1 unit. By the way, that's units. That's not necessarily houses. That's just
they're
units.
apartments.
Jeez. 1.1 million. Yeah, for like a 2-bedroom apartment in Woolloomooloo.
That's gracious.
Farlight houses, 3.48. Gee, where the heck is Farlight? North Shores? Fairlight, not far. Fairlight is what?
I don't know where it is.
Oh, okay, well.
Glebe. I'm guessing it's in the eastern suburbs.
And Woolware, jeez. But the cheapest unit on this entire list.
Woolware is in the southern suburbs.
Woolware was $885,000. Median price.
Woolware is like right next door to Cronulla.
Jesus. Yeah, it only fell 14% at $145,000 down.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Sydney is
everywhere else you pay rent and mortgages on a monthly basis.
Okay, well, everywhere we know of.
But here, you pay mortgages monthly, but you pay the rents weekly.
Yep. It's an easier way of hiding costs. Same thing with car prices here. When I was selling cars, they always told us to tell everybody the cost weekly, which confused the heck out of me because I was just doing everything monthly.
And we pay it monthly to the bank.
Yeah.
So I don't know why.
Everything is priced weekly.
Probably because we get paid weekly.
Could be.
But some jobs pay fortnightly, and when I worked at my last job, I was paid monthly. Yeah, which was really hard when I first started working there because I had to wait an entire month before I got paid.
I'm not sure I could do that, but I know contractors do that a lot. So I've never had anything other than bi-weekly or weekly. Yeah, I didn't have fixed, like Dad. I didn't have fixed monthlies, like bi-monthly bills. Okay, last one for this stream recording, how we're doing it. This will be our friends at the Asahi Shimbun in Japan bring us an interesting look on how they deal with royals and the complaints about it. Agency irked at video of princess sleeping during flight in Brazil. Now, just the headline. If this was like the British royalty or who's this other ones? The one with the Aussie lady who's now a royal. Denmark royal. It'd be kind of like a ha-ha fun story. You caught them sleeping as they were doing something. Maybe one of those candid shots. But here, It sounds like they're annoyed. They're like, how dare you?
Actually, I just never heard of it until now.
What?
Somebody filming a royal while they're sleeping.
Good point. You don't really hear
It's the
that.
first time I hear of it.
All right, let's see. Video footage of Princess Kako, thank you, Kako, snoozing during a recent flight in Brazil left Imperial Household Agency fuming and asking what possible interest it serves by such a blatant intrusion into her privacy. Naomasa Yoshida, the Grand Master of the Crown's Prince's household at the agency, said at June 13th news conference, in general, it is not desirable to have videos taken without permission during an individual's private moments. Which is fair. True. Very true.
But what did they get out of filming her while she was sleeping?
Picture of her in an unguarded moment, which I guess somebody wanted to do that. They're when you're famous people
privacy issues, man.
Yeah. Then again, was she flying on public transport or something? I don't know. Because I would have figured they would just have like private planes and stuff, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but everyone's trying to stop using private jets because of the whole emissions thing.
That it's in Brazil, so maybe their planes are for Japan use only, not for overseas travel. Maybe. Let's see. Kako is the second daughter of Crown Prince Fumihito and Crown Princess Kiko. Her uncle is Emperor Naruhito. She is visiting Brazil for events to mark the 130th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries, which was one of those weird things I didn't know until I went through some stories of history of how many Japanese are in South America. Agency official said the video posted to X on around June 12th showed Kako and several agency officials boarding a commercial flight in Brazil. There it is. It is a commercial flight. The video goes on to capture the 30-year-old princess dozing off at her seat. The agency disclosed June 13th that it had asked the operator of X, formerly known as Twitter, to look into whether the video violated the company's guidelines. The site, in principle, bans the sharing of video footage taken without permission. Based on the content of the video, an official with the Imperial Household Agency's public relations office said it was highly unlikely that the princess gave permission for the footage to be taken. True. Kako left Japan on June 4th and has been using commercial flights in Brazil to visit 8 cities. She's scheduled to return to Japan on June 17th. I think that's fair. Do we want to hear the lawyer's opinion?
Not really.
Right. But yeah, I think that's, like you said, there was no point to it. Just some random dude on Twitter shared a picture of her or video of her doing that. It's like,
see, I wouldn't. It'd be like, oh, yeah, she's royalty, or... I mean, that he even recognized that she was royalty. I mean, jeez.
yeah.
You know? I mean, I wouldn't even know who the royal family is in Japan.
You know, it might have just been, hey, who are these people? Right? Because obviously there's, like, security and other people around her. So be like, oh, this must be some sort of famous person. I'll take a picture of it and do that. That I can see. But if you recognize who it was, it'd be like you posted, oh, look, check it out. I got the princess. And you're like, who? What? Then again, I'm like that with most famous people. I wouldn't even recognize them.
No, I don't care if you're famous or not. Don't care.
I literally did that. I told you about that when I was at Comic-Con one year. It was, which way was it? It was the actor who played on Enterprise. He was the engineer on...
oh, you lost me now.
On Supernatural, he played the devil. One of the versions of the devil. Anyways. Was it Supernatural? No, he was an actor of a show I've actively watched. He was on SG1 as well. And I had said something like, hey, if I want to see somebody famous, I should... We were literally talking to him, and we were talking to each other and right in front of him. And I basically said, oh, not you, to the guy. It's like, oh, I need somebody really famous was going to show up. Not you, right? And it's like, I was the asshole at that time point. But at the same time, it's like I didn't even recognize him, that I was standing in front of, well, within earshot of a famous person, because I'm the idiot and the asshole at the time. So deep again.
Comment.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and stop this recording and come back to you guys next with another recording here this week. This next one will be a reaction to a video that we saw that was pretty interesting.
Yes, too, and also to make up for the last 2 weeks that we haven't put anything up because we've just been busy.
So, thanks again, guys, and here's to the next video. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.